two legendary videos here. Today we have Charlamagne the God disagreeing with Whoopi Goldberg on the Hunter Biden pardon. Okay, now for those who don't know, Hunter Biden basically got pardoned for all his, drug charges and his gun charges, a few other things. His dad, of course, Joe Biden, pardoned him a couple of days ago, which everybody agrees on that you probably should have done that because it's your dad. But of course, it's pretty, dishonorable to lie to the public and say that he wouldn't pardon him when the last few days before his office term, he actually pardons him. Whether or not he's afraid of Trump putting his son in prison or whatnot, which could have happened, I totally agree with Joe Biden to pardon his son, okay? Every single dad would have done the same thing. So this one should be amazing. It's from The View. I've talked about The View before. Obviously, it's super, kind of weird channel. But Whoopi Goldberg is obviously disagreeing with a lot of people here. So this one should be amazing today. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, guys, and let's go.
A vocal force in the media throughout the 2024 presidential race, and he's joining us now at the table. Please welcome back the author of the book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Charlamagne the God.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. Nice to have you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Okay, so my question is, after the election, you said that you were disappointed but optimistic. How are you feeling right now?
I feel the same way because, what's the other option?
Right.
I'm a country boy from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road. So, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, my grandmother was a Baptist. So I still believe in this higher power called God.
Yeah.
And, you can't believe in God when, things go your way and not believe in God when things don't go your way. So at a time like this, you just got to remember your serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because you can't change nothing.
I love that.
The guy talks extremely quick, but not saying a whole lot of anything, guys. Charlamagne the God is a bit of a clown. Anybody who calls himself a god as well is a little bit of, a clown, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially the wisdom to know the difference, right?
And we can't change anything.
Can't.
Not
yet.
Well, 4 years from now, I guess.
Or two.
You never know.
But let me ask you this: Trump's campaign ads for some, they're saying they were very effective. And in one in particular ad, he used a clip of you from The Breakfast Club saying, quote, Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. You say that line was taken out of context. I know it was. But it went on to become one of his most effective campaign ads. I'm also featured in one of his campaign ads.
You might have been 1 and 2.
Yeah. I was.
Well, the thing about Charlamagne the God is, he hates Trump so much. His right-hand man, Andrew Schultz, had him on his podcast. So I don't know why he didn't say anything about that.
He texted me and
Yours was
let me know that.
Context.
No.
No, it wasn't. But what were you actually saying in the clip? And can you please explain that? And how does it make you feel that the campaign used you like that?
Well, it's never good to be taken out of context, but I was explaining to my listeners how effective I thought the actual ad was. The ad was effective before I was in it. I was just sitting at home watching football and I saw it and I was like, whoa. And so I knew the immediate reaction was going to be, people are going to say, hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that. So I was explaining that to my listeners. So,
Nobody wants their tax dollars going towards that, guys. Let's be honest, right? Not a lot of people.
It never feels good to be taken out of context, but what I didn't like the most was that they didn't do anything to combat it.
Right.
I would have ran the same ad and just said, Donald Trump, what is it? Donald Trump supports, what was it?
He was the one that was supporting tax.
Yes, Donald Trump supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. I would have ran the same ad because it was legislation under him as well. And you know what else I would have did if I was our campaign? Since Donald Trump used me, I would have used Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. Joe Rogan said he thought Donald Trump was, I think, unhinged was the quote.
Right.
You got to mix it up. You got to get dirty with these people. You know what I'm saying? You got to muddy the waters a little bit, cause confusion.
Yeah. Let me ask you something that's
This is funny.
going around right now, a lot of this conversation.
So, but I do agree with him, guys. If they had any sort of hope of defeating that side, they should have definitely ran something else. Like Joe Rogan obviously switches up a lot, so they should have put in things that he said against him and stuff like that. So, if they were smart, they would have used different plots to get at people, but they didn't.
About President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, etc., as if the other side doesn't
It's very hypocritical, but I think everybody would have done that, guys. Everyone would have done. If it's your son, you would have
do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything. in regards to whether or not his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, "Hey man, I'm not focused on that right now." But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy, and they were saying that nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him. That's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I know what Whoopi Goldberg's going to think. I think that she thinks that Trump is going to put his son in prison, right? Because they threatened to do that with Trump, and they did that with Trump. So I think that Trump is going to have like this chip on his shoulder and put Hunter Biden in prison because like they put him in prison, right? Something like that.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out.
Don't-
They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do
So we're
that.
mad at him because he changed his.
Oh, no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning
But
Hunter
you
Biden.
sound like you're
No.
Okay.
If I could get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions
Yes, I
and the
understand all that.
impartiality of the
Yes.
Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden.
Yeah, they made their whole sort of run, the Democrats, on like saying we're honorable, we would never pardon his son. When he knew damn well, bro, like, and everyone would have done that, so I'm defending him. I'm not even bashing that idea, but they shouldn't have ran on the idea that we'll never, pardon my son and this kind of stuff, right? They shouldn't have made that like their whole shtick.
How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does, but then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls? He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more. But you're missing my question.
Okay.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, the Democrats and Joe Biden and stuff are seen to be this holier than thou people, where they shouldn't even have to be like that, guys. Because obviously Trump isn't, right? Trump is definitely not like that. He is absolutely, crazy in some ways and stuff like that. So when, Joe Biden says some things, guys, and does another thing, like hypocritical, which everyone's hypocritical in a way. Of course, Donald Trump is absolutely hypocritical. So they shouldn't be relying on Joe Biden to be this like holier than thou kind of guy, man.
But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay?
The Dallas Cowboys are whack. Even though that's America's team, Dallas Cowboys are fire. They're just not a good team. Right?
I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes... But when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
That's why I'm an independent.
Yes, but
I think that's the best way to go.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats
So
are
you
wrong.
don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you? The president.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I mean, he definitely is wrong, guys. But like I said, everyone would have done the same thing, guys. You know what I mean? But it is ridiculous to say that, it's not wrong to pardon your son, even when you've lied and when you've said over and over again, we're never going to pardon my son. We respect the institutions, this type of stuff. It's massively hypocritical. Nobody, Democrat or Republican, would say otherwise.
Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you? The president has the pardon power,
you're
right?
ridiculous.
I didn't say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg.
Yeah,
I would never. I said that. I just think that's
Think
ridiculous.
about it. Just think about it this way.
Come on.
Just very quickly, can you reframe it in this way and think about it maybe in this way? The president has the ultimate pardon power. Every president has done this, right?
Yeah.
And so what people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so
Facts. That's what I said to begin with. He's on a revenge tour, Trump, but when he gets into the White House, it's going to be, and with his FBI director saying that we're going to come after everybody that was coming after us. It's like a tit for tat revenge tour. That's an amazing way to put it, actually. This lady said that.
he is using his rightful power, his rightful political power, to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't say what it is because I'm not in
the moral high ground? Like, what's the faux outrage?
Neither one of them have the moral high ground. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. But when you are a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, you refuse to be objective about the other party. Like, it's like we're watching them do something wrong, but we're making excuses for it.
Well,
we watch Republicans do things wrong, and they make excuses for it. Why can't we just all be objective and call it what it is?
Because it's not the same.
Yeah, it's a good point, guys. It's a good point. Charlamagne the God, definitely the most I've liked him so far. Okay, we have another segment. This is Charlamagne the God applauds Democrats reaching across the aisle. Don't exactly know what that means, but yeah, like, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon. If you guys want to support me on Patreon, it's just €5 a month. Same as a coffee. I'm really trying to push the Patreon. It really helps support my channel, guys. If you guys want to see me keep reacting to videos, go over to Patreon. Help me out, man.
Your book, which is fabulous, you were on here for it and we all read it, Get Honest or Die Lying, is a lot about how we need to have meaningful conversations with people we disagree with. That's kind of your MO. And recently you went on Nikki Haley's podcast, who you don't agree with on everything. You agree with her on some things, others you don't. And you've said that people like Nikki Haley and Gavin Newsom, who very likely may run for president in the future, are doing something that all candidates should be doing. What do you mean by that?
Well, 2028 is going to be another presidential election, and I think everybody needs to start campaigning now. And the way they start campaigning now is by making real connections with people, right? I think, Gavin Newsom has been doing a phenomenal job in the media because he goes on Fox News. He did the debate with Ron DeSantis. He has his own podcast, Politicking, with Marshawn Lynch, and everything he does, he's able to make a story. Like, I think last week he was in California, in the counties that flipped red for Trump, and he was just down there speaking to them, and that became news. And I think when you have your own podcast and when you're not afraid to go in so-called enemy territory, you make a real connection with people. And it's the same thing with somebody like Nikki Haley. She got a radio show right now, so now she's able to engage this audience every single week.
Who's really good at that? Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, Pete is
phenomenal at that.
Pete is a politician who comes to Breakfast Club when he doesn't need us. He comes to Breakfast Club just to make a connection with people. He'll be there next week. Actually, he's coming next week.
He's great.
But that's what I mean. Like, people have to start making real connections with folks. Like, we talked about everybody going on the podcast, like Trump going on all the podcasts this election season. What's the next level of that? People having their own podcast. Everybody else is controlling their own narrative, so why wouldn't politicians? Athletes.
It's true, guys. I think everybody should have podcasts now. I do live streams nearly every single day. That's kind of my podcast. I call it live streaming, but it's also sort of my narrative, my whole live streaming. And I think politicians should have that. I think anyone should have that. In Ireland, America, if you're doing politics, whatever you guys are doing, man, your podcast is really good because it shows you 2 hours of you talking, and it really gets you in touch with the people and what people want to hear from you. You know what I mean? So.
Got their own podcast, entertainers, comedians. Why shouldn't politicians?
Absolutely.
So everybody who wants to run in 2028, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you better start a podcast or get some type of radio show to make a real connection with people.
Because now it's, remember, Obama reached out to people through the internet. Now the new evolution is the podcast.
That's right.
Charlamagne, you were a hot topic for us a few weeks ago after you were on CNN.
Podcasts were huge, guys. I think that the only reason Trump won, a lot of people are saying, is because he was on Joe Rogan, which is just unbelievable because he gets so many people. Like, if you're not a celebrity and you go on Joe Rogan, you kind of instantly become very successful. No matter who you are, you sell a lot more records. Like, you become very famous, and probably more so back in the day, maybe 5 years ago before the lockdowns, but definitely still nowadays a little bit. But for some people, but definitely before, to 2020, if you went on Joe Rogan, you were ultra famous, crazy famous. So.
the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Charlamagne, you were a hot topic for us a few weeks ago after you were on CNN with Anderson Cooper and called out cable news networks for normalizing Trump. Now that Trump has won, you say that you don't think cable news will ever truly cover him honestly again. Why?
Not even just cable news, no network. Nobody, because they didn't do it before, so why would they do it now? They're scared.
It's actually crazy. Like the media has completely switched now that Trump has won. It wasn't as crazy as vitriol back in 2020. Or 2016. It's way different nowadays. It's really way different after the podcast and things like that. CNN, Fox News. It's crazy.
That's the president of the United States of America.
Have you watched The View?
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Sonny, I saw you have to apologize a couple times last week, so somebody's coming with some notes from downstairs.
I'm not apologizing.
Okay.
I'm making a legal note as an attorney of law.
Because you know we have a petty president, our incoming,
Yes.
that is going to be very litigious.
Who is litigious, but that doesn't mean that's not a
we
mistake.
check ourselves.
But what does not normalizing him look like? Does that mean, because oftentimes the dilemma for me is to just not put him anywhere? Is that the
No,
like,
I don't
what
think
is
that.
what is
I
the
think
not
that-
normalizing?
I think you should just honestly call it how you see it. Like, for example, right?
And have legal notes.
Yes, but like when I called Donald Trump a fascist, I wasn't calling him that because of something I heard Democrats say. I was calling him that because of the things that were coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Right? When he was saying
Right.
things like, he wants to
you mean you
suspend the
would think for
Constitution to
yourself?
overthrow the results of an election, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that. But now, when you have elected officials also saying that, but then all of a sudden when he's president, that just goes away.
Disappears.
Like he was a threat to democracy, but then as soon as he becomes president-elect, Joe Biden's like, welcome back to the White House.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You know what I mean? And people hate that. It's like the guy was a threat to democracy, and all of a sudden he's over now. It's like, oh, welcome back to the White House. Like, welcome back. It's like then there's like no critique at all because people are afraid. It's kind of a bit wild. But
I have differences of opinions about this. I don't have a party because none of them make me happy.
See, that's an honest
You
opinion.
know,
Yeah, that should be, though.
but that's how I've always been. But people say, no, this is what you are. This is what nobody knows. And so if we can get back to like just having the dialogue and no one knowing what your thoughts are, but just how you interact with other people, maybe it gets better. And I know you want me to tell people that his new book, Get Honest or Die Lying, is out right now.
Yeah.
But
That music started playing earlier. I feel like I'm in an award show and they wrapping me up like the speech went on too long.
that's funny. I like that music in the background. The View, guys, obviously a lot of people don't like that show. I think it's kind of cool. You know, whatever. I like to hear, differences of opinion, of course. I like to hear certain sides. I like to hear all sides of the opinion. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Drop a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys want to see some more of these videos. Interesting, guys. Whoopi Goldberg is so off the rails. 1 minute she says she's a Democrat. Next minute she says she doesn't have a party. That was one thing I did notice. I was just about to say that. She said that she was Democrat, and then she said she doesn't have a party because nobody makes her happy. So I'm not really sure exactly what her view is right there. But The View, I'm not exactly sure what her view is on The View. No pun intended. But hopefully we get to see some more of that, guys. I love you all, man. Check out my Patreon, like I said. For only $5 a month, you guys can really help support the channel. It goes a long way, man. Link is in the description. I love you guys all. I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.